Coming full circle on Dracula's. Get out of attract mode. That's not where you belong. Yes. Open ye grand creaky doors. Let's get some things settled. So, this is one I actually played through and broadcast at some point before the Dracula Hour had become a regular feature on the channel, and thus it was never shuffled over to YouTube and so forth. So I have here this handy completed file of a regular playthrough of the game. Its existence, quite nicely, gives me an ability to come back around and play it again in a much more good and interesting mode. This is the first of the Game Boy Advance Metroidvanias. And so there's a lot about it that's kind of rough and raw and incomplete. Well, in the sense of they weren't sure how much they could get away with and didn't have a good feel for pacing of movement and how to make use of the amount of screen they had. So there's the second file here named Fireball. Because a part of one of the ups of how this is put together is your bonus content, your alternate playthroughs are each time that you complete the game, you earn a name, which is used to unlock a different play mode. And then when you win in that mode, you unlock another one. So, having cleared one regular run, we have access to Fireball, which enables Wizard Mode. A mode which lets us make extensive use of one of the other high points of this design. Our opening. We seek the Dracula. Here is the Dracula. It is I, the Dracula. But wait, it is we, the Dracula Hunters, Counter-Draculas. Old Man Baldwin. Hugh Baldwin, son of Old Baldwin. And Nathan Graves, our sluggish and awkwardly put together protagonist. There's a move speed. There's your decent amount of airtime on our starter jump. But again, fairly sluggish in our movement. You got your whip. You got spinning whip rather than jangling around whip. Crouch. You got your slide. And we've got stats. All sorts of stats. So if we were playing in regular mode, all those vital statistics over there would be starting at around 100 and scaling up in sync with each other fairly flatly. Since we are in wizard mode, strength and defense have been absolutely tanked in favor of the power of the mind. We have very little health, we have a lot of mana, we have ordinary luck and supply of hearts for sub-weapons. And most prominently, we have all of these. So that nice point in the design is the spell system that's in place for the game. You have 10 verbs and 10 adjectives in the form of these little magic cards. During a regular playthrough, you start with none of these and have to earn them as drops off of enemies at various points in the castle. In wizard mode, you start with all of them immediately. So yes, each of these cards up here has a general, family of functions, and each of the ones on the bottom row sets which variation of it you would like to use. Just for starters, Mercury here is the card for enhancing whips. Salamander is the card for fire. So if we pop back out here, and there we go, wizard button. Our whip is now on fire, with an according boost in strength. There are no, loadouts or quick changes available for the card set, so you do have to, sadly, pop into the menu every time you want to adjust, but there's plenty to be forgiven as far as when this was made. So, let's Dracula. Also, given our abysmally low strength, using any regular attack at all with Wizard Nathan is probably not a great move compared to other options. We'll see. Our intelligence doesn't really factor into how hard this whip will hit, even though we've set it on fire with the power of our mind. It's still primarily strength-driven. And while we are kind of sluggish on the ground as Nate, he still has a decent degree of air control. Tried not to get murdered by just the first ordinary column down. I will attempt over the course of the run to semi-methodically demonstrate and give screen time to each pair of cards. Iterate through the full 100 spells. Many are more or less useful than the others. And when you have access to all of them, you can forego a lot of the filler and get right to the good stuff if you want. You are a worthy adversary, Bomb Skeleton. I leave you in peace. This whip power-up does not affect our spin move. There are others that do. There's also no backdash in this. L button is taken up by the activate and disable spell button. So yeah, the core benefit of having our high intelligence is that the spells that do run off of it will hit much harder, and we have a lot of MP regen off of that intellect. So, for example, I could just kind of womp away with this indefinitely. Barely dig into that bar at all. There are plenty of spells that have, persistent cost over time that you can very quickly start to sustain indefinitely when you're in wizard mode. Per Metroidvania tradition, there are many obstacles which will confound our initial setup until we find the necessary holy relics and special abilities. One of them is Cube. At present, Cube is a mystery. Nathan Graves has no understanding of Cube. He's not been trained in the arts regarding cubes. And while the lack of a backdash does make it difficult to evade a lot of enemy techniques, most projectiles can be blocked very reliably with the whip spin. Hey, finally something vulnerable to fire. Yeah, between the whip lingering for a fair while after you put it out and being able to then go into the spin, you can stop a lot of tiny things. It's a serviceable whip. In most respects, Circle of the Moon is, at worst, mediocre. It proved a concept and set the stage for other things. Ah, an item drop. And another. And others still, though it will be... No, I won't bother using one of them right away. Save point's right over there, I can just go refresh. So, this is also a Metroidvania in which there is no currency and no merchants. Items occur only by random drop-off of enemies. Which, that's another point that you could firmly put into the not good column. Oh, poison already wore off. Manageable. That there are plenty of items that would be very useful for you to have access to and you might rely on to do well at things, and if you want more of them, you have to go find the appropriate location and grind. It can weigh on you. Okay, knife. Hello. This is one of the ones that has regular old sub-weapons in it, running off of hearts. I think there's a card combination that can make them cost mana instead, but for the most part, just here you go. Your old standbys of the Draculhour. Throwing knife. Which will also hit quite poorly for us as a wizard. For most purposes, the best of the sub-weapons are the cross, the holy water. The axe can be good in certain situations. This fellow here is who you would have to farm one of the initial cards off of, if you wanted it. I'm not sure if he has Salamander or Mercury, but one of the starters shows up off him. We now have Move less sluggishly boots. Fine running shoes, with the awkward control input of double tap a direction, for what you will start to treat as your default move speed, because anything else is terribly aggravating. And equipment. 3 equipment slots: body, arm, other arm. and your consumable items. Pretty simple inventory setup. Also there in the menu, your list of relic things you've acquired to give you moves. There's 8 of them total. You can look at all of the cards just to see their art. All the top row runs are various deities or mythical beasts. So Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Diana, Apollo, Neptune, Disappointed Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto. Oh yeah, top row's all gods. Nothing but gods. Bottom row, various beasts. Salamander, Serpent, Mandragora, Golem. Pretty good Golem. Cockatrice, Manticore, Griffin, Thunderbird, Unicorn, Black Dog. These two are particularly asinine to try and collect in a regular run of the game. They are located inside the Sport Zone and have only a chance to drop off one of the creatures at a particular spot in Sport Zone. And there's some things to redo. Let us tread cautiously, with perhaps a different sort of whip. Alright, next attribute, Serpent, gives ice. Ice weapons, in general, are faster but weaker, and have the special trait that they will freeze enemies on what would be their last hit. Where applicable. Frozen enemies can then be used as platforms. There are some places where there are puzzle shenanigans to enact. You can also see demonstrated there that the hitbox for the Ice Whip is much smaller. You can also accomplish such things by way of petrifying weapons, which are another of the things you can get access to via cards. Alright, now to ignore this Earth Demon. Right, dash boots are also important for platforming, since they will give you that first slight increase in jump distance. Circle of the Moon can be a little weird about accepting that dash input. Expect to hear a lot of clicking of the stick. Good. An obstacle. Another mysterious cube beyond our means. Let's attempt another flavor of whip. The plant element, granting us the rose whip. It's decently hard and has that little spray of petals off of the end of it. There's also an element affinity and weakness system in place, so all the various flavors will be better or worse at killing different enemies. Yep, you can see there's another strength boosting one, Whip of Thorns. There are points in Circle of the Moon where the difficulty curve is quite firmly marked and grind is demanded, and I will make all due efforts to put said grind off-camera where feasible. Although Wizard Mode does give you some of the tools necessary to alleviate that grind. Circumvent some odd points in the curve. For example, may as well just jump ahead out of pattern and do this. So. Oh wait, friends. Those of you... There we go. So, the third verb, Jupiter, is the shield verb. All of Jupiter's combinations are some manner of protective spell. Jupiter plus plants gives you regeneration as long as you stand still. On a regular character, this is hideously expensive, and it takes quite a while before you have enough int to make it remotely feasible to stand around in a safe space and recover health. Wizard, it's remarkably cost-effective. Right out of the gate. Within a relatively reasonable number of levels, Nathan will be capable of regenerating indefinitely. The amount that you get per tick is proportional to your max health. A vertical shaft. Another of Dracula's nefarious tricks. I'll probably ignore a lot of larger enemies in the early game just because Wizard Nate will be too frail and noodly to confront them head-on. At least not until I bust out some of the better weapons. Which will occur in due time. A lot of breakable walls in this one. And a lot of dead ends where the only reward is some sort of number up. But number ups are good. You have numbers. Now they are larger numbers. Enjoy your slightly larger numbers. Let's play it safe and enjoy the benefits of a full bar of mana. Yeah, the regen ticks are like 1 or 2% of your max health, rounded down, minimum 1. Yes, you can see there, even at level 2, with no like int boosting equipment or anything, Nate is already capable of recovering almost a full health bar off of a full mana bar. And losing it just as quickly. Way back out of somewhere around here, there is next save point. And not even strong enough to defeat one of these with a tick of the whip spin. Nate, you are so spongy. Didn't even touch the... We gotta work on you, Nate. That seems like fair enough reason to break out one of the other shields. Let's give myself a moment to charge. Level's always welcome. Let's see, can I sustain this yet? Yes, just barely. Excellent. So, other shields. A lot of them take the form of objects spinning around you, doing harm to your enemies. In a regular playthrough, it would take a while before you had enough int to keep one of these running. Wizard, right away. This is one of the better ones. It strikes a good midpoint between coverage and intensity of damage, which is the general trade-off. The ones that cover the largest areas are the most gentle about hurting enemies, whereas the most limited ones hit the hardest. So yeah, these 4 ice orbs, pretty reliable about beating things up, but there's still enough of a gap that some very quick things can sneak through. If you want numbers to go up and feel appropriately lazy, you can just turn one of these on and leave Nate standing somewhere with regenerating enemies. Let him pummel them into submission. Having some kind of shield on is usually my cruise mode. I should top off my health, since I'm still not sure where the save point is. Yep, gotta spend a fair share of time just gazing at the background, appreciating the sights. Fine, Dracula. You know what? New whip. Golem, earthen element. Give us the long whip. Golem means reach, I guess, when combined with whips. Strange, noodly whip of clay. It's a little slow, but, you know, its reach gets real far. Mudmen. Mudmen and spirits. Not up enough to get there yet. Mudmen are probably reasonably resistant to Mud Whip. No way to be sure within game beyond experimentation. I don't think there's a bestiary. Mud Whip is also quite generous in its hitbox, as far as like vertical overreach. Cruising with the shield also makes it very easy to check for breakable walls. You just rub up against surfaces and there you go. This wristband, Nate, will become slightly less noodly. Just slightly. Perhaps just enough. There's also stuff below. Plenty of angles to check. Corners to fill. Even at his most sluggish, Nate is still reasonably agile. Just not at all compared to many of the faster, you know, Belmonts and associates. Again, they just weren't sure how much speed they could comfortably get away with. Tiny screens and so forth. Yep, another fine chance to stare at the wall. Fine masonry. A lot of the backgrounds in this are relatively bare-boned. compared to the other Metroidvanias. It likely received a relatively rushed development cycle. Still managed to come together, but perhaps not all it could have been. Sure. Hold on. Let me try to sort out my positioning here. Stone Whip. It's reasonably hard, has that little persistent cloud of dirt effect, and will petrify things where appropriate. Like so. Petrified enemy may be used as platform. Over the course of it, you're going to see your fair share of recycled filler rooms. Huh, well, this would be strong enough to just one-shot one of them skeletons. Finally. Also, having returned to a mono-screen Dracula, there's going to be a lot more interruptions to check on maps. We're back in that territory. I might take to just leaving a map open in a file. On a tab or a viewer somewhere. Brushing health Kool-Aid. Yep, no mysteries abound here, because this is the Metroidvania of this era for which I am very much not blind. I owned a physical copy of this at the time it came out. It was used extensively. It's serviceable, just not astounding. Also, the abundance of rewards for exploration that are just a health up, or mana up, or heart up. They help mitigate the biasing of stats that happens during one of the special runs. Those are worth as much as they would be, regardless. Ah, potion. Their other character classes absolutely reliant on those. They and their larger cousins, in order to recover from damage. Which is terrible, because again, they must be farmed, and they are similarly tiny in power to other Medvanias. This team does not like strong healing items. It's all tiny, subtle effects for recovery. Hey, come on. Pick up the pace. Ice and Petrification can also be handy when you're in one of these respawning enemy zones, because there's a limit to how many of them will be on screen at a time. Petrified ones continue to count against that limit until you deal with them. So you can thin out the crowd. Yes, finally. Next save point. Now, Manticore. The Poison Whip. Poison is another element that's usually low on raw damage, but gives you some sort of utility effect instead. Which is poison. Also, it has attacks that are usually split out into many small hits, as it will leave clouds of noxious funk. This is pretty niche. I will probably put it away quite quickly and not use it further. But yeah, it's an upward diagonal attack. It releases helpful clouds. Quite weak, though. Extremely situational move. They don't even persist long enough to go past whatever ground level you were standing on, so it's not like you'd use them to deal with something that's below you. I think if I could land a hit with the whip itself, it would still be reasonably damaging, but it's kind of hard with the angle how it is. Potent miasma. Right, Wind Whip. The new meta. So, this has this persistent attack that replaces your spin, and you launch into it immediately upon swinging. It is decent if you have the strength to make these hits actually land well. As a wizard, our Kung Fu is weak. You also can't move while you have it up. Well, you can't move during any persistent attack, but again, it's a lot of points where you're kind of sluggish. And you kind of stick for a moment. It takes a second to get out of it. Without a dash, you don't have a way to cancel. It's kind of satisfying when you can put an enemy in there and just smack him around. kills bats, but what doesn't kill bats? Like, yeah, if we had non-wizard strength, we could sit here with a weapon like the Wind Whip and just gnaw away at these. Since we have wizard strength, it's not indefinitely feasible. Lightning Whip also replaces our spin with a more persistent attack, but still gives us the regular whip. For most purposes, this is really the better move. Narrower hitbox, but not to the extent that it would be significant in most cases. Yeah, you can see the damage when you leave it out tasing diminishes over time. Alright, recovery item. No, non-perishable hearts for storage. And other sub-weapon, and dead end. Holy water is more useful to us at this point right now, so... it joins the team. No. Not right now. Or perhaps right now, if boss door is what's next. Or maybe. Could start doing this. Holy Whip. You recover 1 regen tick of health every time you swing it. I should find safe ground in some other chamber. Holy and Darkness are very powerful effects, as they are the cards that are intended to be tucked away in the bonus area. will not be able to activate any of the per-use power-ups until you have at least one swing's worth of charge. Didn't get to apply the Darkness Whip. Let's see. Where is another opponent? Not here. We've depleted the Fleeman. Darkness Whip. Kinda sluggish. Hits quite hard. I think it does something special when it touches an enemy. Let's see. Oh. One that doesn't die instantly. The immense power of the Dark Whip. There we go! Yeah, they get covered in dark gunk. There's that band. Hello. Powerful Whip, supplemented by damage over time. Oh, right, the boss isn't provoked right away, so I have an opportunity to recharge. Appreciate this nice burning courtyard. This is something I definitely want to spend the time to do, because this boss, reasonably tough. And yes, our strength has now clawed its way up to comparable to a level 1 vampire killer. Nearly a level 2. Where that's the default Jack of all trades regular class. Cross the line necessary to provoke the Cerberus. Cerberus firmly provoked. He has mighty orbs. Orbs and beams. If we're the adversary. Just gonna get the descriptions for these filled in while I'm here. Derp is quite tough, and I will need to take him seriously. Perhaps escalate to yet stronger tools than just all the whip-ups, which, if your character is not good at whipping, these aren't all that useful. They just provide you with weird new arcs. Venus over here, that's the buff verb. All the Venus abilities give you various passive benefits. And we might get away with some kind of shielding. Get a thorough chance to demonstrate the non-invincibility of the Ice Shield. At least when it's not powerful enough to kill the things you're bumping into. Quite breachable. Also a little counterproductive if the shield is, you know, not as good as the weapon you would slip in edgewise if the invuln frames weren't being constantly triggered by the shield. I think Mummy should be weak to fire. Fire shield here. Only 2 projectiles that move much more slowly, but they hit as hard as a whip strike. Ish. And that slowness means that when you sync things up right, you can just have one of them loiter inside the target. Rip it up. Hey, a shirt. Maybe that will help us fight dogs. Tiny bit of defense. Also gotta be careful with the slow shields that, when you're on the move, you can easily outrun them. Fleamen that don't even have the dignity to call themselves fleamen. Senseless things. Yep, sure is a moderately stocked treasure room. Kind of full to the point that all the coinage laying around just makes it look, you know, messy. This isn't some grand, overflowing Scrooge McDuck money pit. This is just tidy up your vault. Dracula, what are you doing leaving coins lying around? You're gonna scuff your gems. Nobody wants scuffed gems. Yeah, plenty of weird perspective in the background art as well. Relative shortage of in-between frames. Nate moves very quickly between stances. Blood shield. Alright, this is one of the ones that's not a conventional shield. I think this reduces knockback, or gives you more invuln frames when you get hit. Something like that. Let's go find out. There is one of the stronger of these that... Yes. 4 times invulnerability frames after being struck. It's helpful, I guess. One of these is just become invulnerable, though. Stone is... Stone says it's become invulnerable, but I don't believe it. I think one of these is lying. Poison, the extreme end of coverage before damage. You sweat everywhere. Grand cloud of funk. Your airbrush shield. Griffin. This one's not a shield at all. It's you do damage when dashing. I've also accidentally crossed the line to trigger the fight, so I need to decide how I'm going to fight this man. Perhaps. The 4th verb. So Mars here is the weapon verb, where each of these cards now gives you a different tool of violence with which to inflict your will on the enemy. Alright, the fight might not properly start until I actually look at the Cerberus. Just get some hearts. And steel myself for the battle to come. Alright, you may be a wonderful mythical beast, guardian of the underworld. Great and mighty servant of Dracula. However, I have a gun. That is, briefly, the safe spot from the beam attack. By the way, he gets invuln frames. And covers more ground than I give him credit for. I have no idea how much health it even has. Trust only your gun. Gun was insufficient. Now we don't even have our cotton clothes. These will all get redescribed in time. Alright, let's see. What else could I get out of Mars that might help? Fire gives us this nice sword for a big overhead swinging arc. Several of the weapons are subtle variations on this. Slightly different arc, slightly different coverage, different flavor of damage.
Rose Sword in particular, I think, is pretty damn good. Also, hi!
Hello! Circling the moon.
I've noticed Wizard Mode, the
Wizard
best way to
mode.
play this game.
Leather
Or
armor,
rather,
the best way to play
only
this
good
game.
way to play this game.
Let's go retain that with a quick save. If the gargoyles will allow it. Sorry, gremlins. Plenty of these things also have not their usual names. Just an off localization team, I suppose.
This was also made by a different team. These guys are Konami Computer Entertainment of Kobe, as opposed to Tokyo, who did all of the other Castlevania games that are 2D.
Kobe-vania.
From this point onward.
Please, dash. We have a schedule to keep, Nate. Go claim that holy water. Too many mummies. Perhaps just enough mummies. Well, no, further mummies. There's no shortage of mummies. Cotton, you are obsolete. Nobody wants you here, Cotton Clothes. Your time has passed. If things get right and proper stonewally with the first boss, as can happen when you are in frail noodly wizard mode, we have quite cruelly and unfairly powerful tools to bust out as a last resort.
Oh yeah, wizard mode has many, many tricks.
Ideally, I will save them for later, but should it become necessary, we can choose to show no further mercy. Ice Sword. Shorter, faster, freezes things. Starts off behind you, so you have a little bit of that back of the head rear guard with this very quick sword. And there's Rose. Quite useful. That wave of petals at the front there also does damage, less so than touching with the actual sword, but it greatly extends the reach. You can see we're covering like a good 1/6 of the screen total.
I'm not sure, it's been way too long, but part of me thinks you might be able to double up and hit with both the blade and the spread of petals.
Maybe, depending on what you're swinging at. I think I'm going to take a quick run back to the save point just to retain the baseline slightly higher number here. And the second wristband. We can get that locked in. and end up finally as strong as if a level 2 character had fumbled their way out here in normal mode, naked.
Well, we all have to start somewhere.
It is young. His training is incomplete. Don't even have baseline amounts of health yet. There we go. Rose Sword will be a common cruising weapon and way to cheese forward in unpleasant circumstances. It's got a lot of overhead swing that can sneak through the edges of platforms and solve problems. Many a potent riddle can just come down to bopping something with the Rose Sword over and over again, just sneaking it through the edges. Alright, Rose is not particularly strong against Dog. Let's experiment. Golem gives Hammer. Hammer's really slow. So I guess our first boss immediately introduces us to one of the core problems with the bosses in Circle of the Moon. Your screen is far too small to deal with them. They will spend much of the fight off-camera, continuing their routine, and offering absolutely nothing in terms of telegraphing what they're up to. You have no way to react.
Yeah, sometimes there are audio cues, which Cerberus here has a few of, but it's generally not enough.
If you could see Cerberus the whole time, he'd be pretty fair. He, like, has his whole wind-up of, like, you know, bending down and vibrating a little and then changing color. That smoothly spells out what he's going to do, but he usually ends up going through that whole sequence while he's off camera. So then just suddenly, hey, dog in your face. Repeated attempts, much smoother now that I'm not bothering with side rooms. Might give it a shot with the Tonfers. Tonfers.
Ah, I found the thing I found last time again. Cerberus has 600 HP.
Like, see, that whole sequence there for getting around the beam attack, that's relatively reasonable to execute. You have the tools you need to evade it, you just usually are denied the chance to read the telegraph and know what the hell is going on. Tonfer is also not particularly great versus Dog. Let's try another weapon. Those will be terrible. No poison claws. Yajatsu, not particularly useful against this boss that demands a lot of mobility.
A lot of movement and reaction.
How about... But equip the Thunderbird and trust only in the fist. Any word on elemental affinities of Helldog?
Apparently, the Cerberus is light elemental, which is really weird, and explains why the gun was actually good on him, because I'm pretty sure the gun is dark. It's just the gun is also the gun, and therefore very slow.
Maybe some sort of darkness sword. Let me. Oh, right. That's. Dark Whip! Yeah, in the old black hole. He howls, he lays down, initiates an attack. And we can survive one contact with the beam. Yeah, Black Hole loves him. It's forced to respect his invuln frames, but...
Oh wow, that black hole is kind of impressive, even if those numbers are all 1.
yeah, if it's piling up like 20 of them. That's a fair contribution.
I feel bad for never really paying much attention to Dark Whip when I played through Wizard mode.
Alright, that was my mistake. So 600 health.
600 health.
And what can I accomplish? At level 5, with 2 wristbands and a gun. I could do some benchmarking here. Let's see. Oh wait, no, not that. This. The Dark Whip was doing 23 to him. There's 25 to one of those bones. $58 to one of that. So for ballparking, let's say 3 times. Attack with a gun. $118. So gun might be expected to do anywhere from 30 to 50 damage. I think it was doing 40 something when I was trying it the previous time.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Meaning I would only need 10 bullets to beat the Cerberus. That is a good thought out of the audience. Maybe the strength buff that comes with the gun would also feed into sub-weapons. Let's see.
I honestly have no idea, but it's worth a shot.
It didn't look like it. That was still just 4s.
Well, holy water is also light elemental damage, I think.
That was 40 something. Pretty. Just gotta hope for more of these lightning balls. They give me the longest window of opportunity for the gun. during Lightning Orb, you will just sit there and let them do their thing. Which lets me do my thing. Behold, the wizard. Beware his power. Bosses don't even hand out orbs. That's the degree of strange, unknown territory we're in.
No boss orb for you.
Holy weapon. This surprisingly noodly looking, like, big sword. I guess they're just supposed to be, like, you know, in-betweens to convey fluid motion, but you can distinctly see that it bends. Very floppy sword.
It's a sword made of light, so the light just solidifies to form the sword for a second, and that's all it needs.
Yeah, it's optics.
It goes back to being light.
So we have double. Fundamental movement power attained. You can now up and up again. With this, Nate becomes far less sluggish. Still fairly sluggish, but reasonable. Let's wear a buff. Or the trip home. So, Venus usually doesn't get a lot of usage since, you know, passive buffs, they're pretty boring, straightforward. Just, you have a number. Now it's slightly bigger. Venus and Salamander, strike though. Hit harder. Not that that's unwelcome on the wizard. If it becomes necessary to hit things with reasonable competence, strength up may find its use. This one is... yes, defense up. Also, reasonably welcome on the wizard, as our noodle arms are actually not our weakest point. We're only slightly bad at strength. Defense is our worst stat. By invoking the power of the gods, we achieve ordinary defense for, well, not even that, like 2 levels behind defense. 2 or 3.
Yeah, unfortunately, Wizard cannot make that much use out of the Black Dog and Unicorn combinations on this one, which is sad because Wizard is probably one of the only characters who will ever actually get those cards, even that they're in the arena. But either way, Black Dog is double strength, half defense, and Unicorn is half strength, double defense. And Wizard does not have enough of either of those to really survive setting them to half.
Alright, this combination is Luck Up, which will improve her ability to get items to drop. The spell descriptions will only admit that it's Luck Up, and that you've noticed that it would be Luck Up from your screen there, when it actually causes an item to drop. You can see from it, it also only pays the cost of being on when you look up. Let's see, what was this one? Ah yes, this is... there are a pair of as percent of map increases buffs in here. Defense and attack. Attack is one of the other ones. Maybe? Maybe chicken? But yes, it's your travel ability. More squares, more power.
Thunderbird is strength map coverage. And Cockatrice is gain experience when walking.
From walking. The strangest of these. Just, I mean, that sounds like it might add up, but then no, it doesn't. It's like every time that you see it blink there, that's 1 point of experience.
And you have to walk instead of run, which is just...
Walking only. You will learn nothing if you're in a rush. You cannot hurry your training. But yeah, having both double and dash leaves you with most of your core movement competence. The sluggish times are nearly past. It's a long time before you get the final piece in the mobility puzzle, so... This is about all you have. As long as you're able to initiate running, then you can be reasonably agile in the air. Manticore. Mysterious Manticore. At this point, I think I'm heading all the way back into the main catacombs. I have to go reconnect, and there are some ups that I could have gone... Well, could not have gone earlier, but can now. With the power of 2 jumps. That's not one of them. Right. Double heart income. What a niche. Wait, this one's the intelligence buff, which under this paradigm is completely useless. I suppose you could switch to it to make your MP recover faster if you depleted it? And we're willing to fuck around with the menu to make that go a little faster?
It could also be that sub-weapons run off of int, which wouldn't surprise me.
That did not get it to yield the description, so who knows? Mysteries abound. What up, Earth Demon? There we go. Yeah, that's damage for map percentage. Ah, sacrifice strength to gain more defense. Which would get itself described if I then go and nudge an enemy. Yeah, there we go. And what should be the opposite? Yeah, danger mode. But enough of those. Put this description into the... Yep, palm frames. Getting it comfortably stowed again. That's stone mode, wherein you stomp around real slow. I should add some screen time. You are not actually invincible in stone mode. just very heavy. And now, Musk. Musk is really good at intercepting projectiles. Once you're leveled enough to have it do more than 1 damage, it will deal with corrupt enemies pretty quickly. Musk is a powerful weapon in our vampire hunting arsenal. Ah! That's a quandary that we'd have to come back to later if we were showing up here in regular order of events. We might not have a supply of ice, but we do. Wow, that's a really wide arc on the holy water here. That's a real need to stare at the wall for a moment. Yep. Squares. Of varying sizes. Couple highlighted bits that are almost Tetris block shaped. Not enough to call it a pattern, though. Just many squares. Eventually, you achieve that glorious, extreme level of mana recovery where you can just turn this on and it won't even drain your bar. Lasts longer and longer as you go, and of course has different points of high and low return on investment in terms of how quickly it's filling you up. Fortunately, these respawn when you scroll them off screen. Unfortunately, they do try to attack you. Will unfreeze eventually. You pose a puzzle. This is one of the kinder spreads of them that exists. There are less pleasant places where we will find rain float in need of sorting out. Gotta lure them all to the leftist side. Or at least the key ones. There we go. Health well earned. Fighting incidental odds and ends as we go is going to just gradually cut into the need for the eventual X grind. And rogues more opportunities for items to drop. Right, that way lied cubes. This way, progress. Of a sort. In the Abyss stairway. Hope you like repetitive motion. On down to the stairs of the Abyss for all your repetitive motion needs. First you go left, then you go right, then you go left. Spiral stairs without the spiral, or the stairs. Stairs exist, Nate does not acknowledge them. Stairs are an illusion. The fact that many places have walls that are just kind of long, repeating textures through repetitive environment, it's going to provoke a lot of vague memory of, yeah, there's something in a column like this one that breaks somewhere. Maybe it's this one, maybe it's the other one.
Thankfully, we have these gremlins to force us to use our sword all the time anyway, so we'll just find it naturally. Yay!
Yeah, level this up. Organically provoking the player into taking desired actions. I have now passed 2 doors to other areas. The Abyss stairs are kind of a connecting zone that attaches to several regions. Only one of which is proper progress, and I've probably already walked past it and the other way you could get to it. I'll get back there eventually. Exploration takes priority. Audience room is close to something. Something of vague importance. Well, it's close to axe armors. They're of vague importance. Let's bust out the Holy Book. Do a bit of counter attrition. Get some recovery going innately. I mean, it's not like we have that much health to refill anyway. Now successfully circled back to this, the gate of Dracula's chamber. You will require the final plot item to open it. But we've closed that loop. Which means I can fall down this column again.
Did you actually close the loop?
Loop is secure. When you eventually have the strongest up, you can also follow that loop in the other direction.
I'm pretty sure that there was a switch on, like, opposite Draculhour in the other room. Or something like that.
There might be many things of import being overlooked.
Something.
All in due time. Everything will get its opportunity to be ignored, bypassed, circled back around to after half memory, and so forth. And just, not even a dozen more health ups, and we'll have enough to achieve 2 per regen tick.
The coveted 2.
The marginal gains. Beyond measure. This seems a bit excessive, dropping 150 Holy Whip damage on random... Oh, I've circled back around. That's the high side of... That's the same mummy room we were in earlier. Excellent. It's time to destroy more mummies. Or evade some number of the mummies. Not going to just crush mummies all day, every day. Hammering in morning, afternoon, and evening against mummies. Or actually a little bit light resistant. This is above that other room. You want to prod that wall, but I don't want to descend into the depths quite yet. So let's bust out Deanna. The projectile card. Deanna combination launches some kind of, ranged attack.
Most of which are expensive, and the ones that aren't are hilariously expensive.
Hunting is not for the financially insecure. No way to get back up there. Not directly with our current limit. Still, a worthwhile diversion. Not now, knife. Stay where you are. The climb resumes. Another of the obstacles we do not yet comprehend. Giant Novelty Iron Maiden. For torturing one's giant novelty... well, novelty giants. Giant is kind of a fundamentally novelty size. There are nerves that very much want to expect this ice shield to plow through anything that resists me. That time has not yet arrived. This time, a different path. Or not, another giant novelty Iron Maiden. There are several, obstructing many parts of the castle. Perhaps I had it right the first time. The path of most convolution. The old inverse Occamdrizer.
Iron Maidens to torture your other giant Iron Maidens.
Matryoshka Iron Maidens. Nested inside each other. Nope, cube. Still beyond our reach. Checking for gaps in the walls. Alright, now we're back here. That way lies Dracula. This way lies door requiring switch to open from elsewhere. Closer and closer to the truth.
Oh, I guess the switch is on the other side. Oops.
All things half remembered. Also, yeah, without a merchant system of any sort, duplicates of items you've already found, completely useless. I think that's the way forward. So I'll just go rub myself against a few more dead ends. Biker neighbors. Really kicking things up. Taking all due advantage of the thaw. Yep, mystery cube. A triumph hallway. Wood cube. One of many nemesi. Ethan is absolutely dumbfounded by right angles. None of his vampire hunting training prepared him to handle fright.
Well, yeah, vampires aren't very heavy. They turn into dust when you kill them and all. They can't really weigh much at all.
Flame armor is a bit large even for if we were playing a non-squishman. What we've done here is, good, crucifix. Wonderful. We've reached the front door of the castle. Not that it ever appears in any scenes or has anything interesting happen near it. There's some stuff up from where we're standing now, but not a big deal. And yeah, that man hits very hard. Piano. Perfect. Most of Diana's projectiles are appropriately outlandishly powerful to justify their cost.
Oh yeah, they are very strong, and they are Wizard Mode's best friend, once you have the MP stock and intelligence to use them regularly.
Alright. Now move forward in hope of locating another save statue point thing. We weren't really sure what they wanted to do with save points for not Alucard, since it would make no sense for perfectly ordinary human Nathan Graves to crawl into a giant polygonal coffin, get spun around. You just gotta have the room wherein there is statue, orb, or just glow.
Yeah, you know, your friendly neighborhood orb. That's all.
Ice Shield, again, an extremely good and recommended cruising tool. believe this is the way forward. Nope, that was cube. The one above? Gotta circle around more through other room. It's at least an opportunity to pummel more axemen. It looks like the live stream has briefly been interrupted, but recording is here, recording is fine. There is little left to be done. Just find an appropriate protocol to settle into. Yeah, here we go, this art. This is where we're going. That is the sound of OBS recognizing that it is a lost connection.
So it's not just a...
Seems to be a more general connectivity problem if it's also jumbling Discord. Something on my end. Pressure is up. Hit points gotta be around here somewhere. Keep at it, OBS. They'll make it through. This might be... Yes! Hello. Appropriate checkpoint. Here at lovely Salvation Orb. A lot of this background art is kind of raw and crude and minimal, but that's more understandable when you remember that this is intended to be viewed on a very tiny screen. Fair enough place to conclude a first session. Circling the moon in wizard mode. Dracula's technical problems.